Questioner, you mentioned that the thoughts of anger now are causing cancer. Can you expand on this mechanism as it acts as a catalyst or its complete purpose? Ra, I am Ra. The fourth density is one of revealed information. Selves are not hidden to self or other selves. The imbalances or distortions which are of a destructive nature show, therefore, in more obvious ways, the vehicle of the mind-body-spirit complex, thus acting as a teaching resource for self-revelation. These illnesses such as cancer are correspondingly very amenable to self-healing once the mechanism of the destructive influence has been grasped by the individual.
This clip is about the infamous topic of cancer. As someone who works in healthcare, I've never once considered telling these patients that your cancer is related to destructive imbalances within yourself, and that it's here to teach you a lesson. That's not what they want to hear. But is it what they need to know? That's something that I'm not here to decide, but Rob puts it so objectively, stating that once you can grasp what the root cause of this cancer is within, then it can be influential in your growth and your expansion of self. And it's just such an awful way of having your lessons be presented to you. And at this point, all I can really do is give my love to those that are going through those lessons and try to prepare myself so that I don't have to repeat exactly what they're going through. So Ra continues on and actually explains how to best do that.
Questioner, then you are saying that cancer is quite easily healed mentally and is a good teaching tool because it is easily healed mentally, and once the entity forgives the other self at whom he is angry, the cancer will disappear. Is this correct? Ra, I am Ra. This is partially correct. The other portion of healing has to do with forgiveness of self and a greatly heightened respect for the self. This may conveniently be expressed by taking care in dietary matters. This is quite frequently a part of the healing and forgiving process. Your basic premise is correct.
So it's agreed upon that treating or healing from this cancer is easy, mentally. That's an important distinction, is that mentally you can overcome and grow from this experience and return back to a baseline, but physically, that's a whole different story. So let's summarize that the actionable steps here are to recognize your shadow, to go within and identify parts that are imbalanced, and flood them with recognition, understanding, acceptance, and wholehearted, unconditional self-love. Because that is the way that we can restore our balance. It's also a strong practice to be able to forgive others and yourself in the moment. That way you're not grouping up different occurrences all throughout your life, and then when you actually choose to sit down and reflect, you have to go through chapter by chapter over and over. It's easier to, in the present moment, recognize that you're having these feelings, you're having these thoughts, you're acting in this way, etc., and forgive both yourself and others unconditionally, and do so without any strings attached and without having to reassess the situation at a later date with a more clear-headed level of mind. I'll leave you all with this closing statement by Ra and the questioners about some other actionable steps to take regarding dietary intake and fasting. And Ra actually has a lot to say about fasting, so I'll include that. I'll group it all into a longer video for a different clip on another day. So take this information, align yourself, cure your imbalances before they manifest into something unwanted. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Questioner, in dietary matters, what would be the foods that one would include and what would be the foods that one would exclude in a general way for the greatest care of one's bodily complex? Ra, I am Ra. Firstly, we underline and emphasize that this information is not to be understood literally but as a link or psychological nudge for the body and the mind and spirit. Thus it is the care and respect for the self that is the true thing of importance. In this light we may iterate the basic information given for this instrument's diet. The vegetables, the fruits, the grains, and to the extent necessary for the individual metabolism, the animal products. These are those substances showing respect for the self. In addition, though this has not been mentioned, for this instrument is not in need of purification. Those entities in need of purging the self of a poison thought form or emotion complex do well to take care in following a program of careful fasting until the destructive thought form has been purged analogously with the byproducts of ridding the physical vehicle of excess material. Again you see the value not to the body complex but used as a link for the mind and spirit. Thus self reveals self to self.